Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. I'm Presmon. Today we're back into the UnderMine. Yes, we are. Today, what build are we going to do? I do not know, but apparently we have a tin whistle that we can do. I would like to try that out. So let's try that out. Let's try that out instead, you know. A random whistle that we can just kind of play, I guess. And I guess we'll just unlock everything else. One more item to the collection. So let's go down. So these things are affected by charisma. Interesting. Interesting indeed. But how are we all doing? How are we all doing? I'm doing okay. I'm kind of getting back into the swing of things again. Just like other stuff and things like that as well. So I've been a little bit distracted with all sorts of things and would like to, you know, just kind of like, you know, I would say like be normal, but a bit more than that, you know. There's just been a lot going on, so I kind of kept myself a little bit busy. Got more going on as well, and kind of like excited, also nervous about some of the stuff, and yeah. So I've got like other things that, falling off the already. It does not bode well. So yeah, I'm kind of in a good mood, but a very weird one. Like I feel like I'm always constantly being distracted recently with like too many stuff, and I kind of just need to sit down, relax. Almost like I just need to get like an early night's sleep. You know? Which would be a good idea, I think, to be honest. Would actually be a good idea. I think I've just been kind of like on the go way too much. And, you know, haven't really kind of sat down to relax. Sponsor the enemies. Duplicate basic items. Well, I guess I'll just take the duplication of basic items on the ground. Like, that could be like extra keys and stuff, so there's a reason to go luck. At least, you know. We do have reasons now to go with that sort of build. Though we do not have any, goodies, I would say. Do you have a key for me? You do have a key, and I cannot buy the key. That is absolutely hilarious. Increase my path find would be nice. Also, there's the projectile thing, if we do have projectiles, but... And we got a key. Ooh. Lost some gold there. Oh well, we got an extra free bomb out of it, so that's also pretty actually good straight away. And we have some dex increases. I guess we want to go strength this build, to be honest, if we can. And I guess that's going to be my main focus, is to see if we can get that going first, but... I do like, actually, this whistle. It's kind of nice. It is kind of nice. Never really messed around with the whole follower stuff, because, like, having no control, I always feel like is a bit of a weird thing, and I will admit I am sort of a bit of a person who likes to have stuff under their control within reason, right? Like, I'm not, like, obsessive over it, but I do like to know, like, if I can, decide to, like, I don't like plans changing. That's one of the things. Which is kind of, like, normal, I think, with a lot of people, right? Ooh, bounce. I gotta take it, like... The fact that I got bounce as a blessing is just like, yeah, we're taking that, regardless of anything else. Because does that add it to my followers as well, is my question on that front. Have one key. I might as well go to the chest and open it up. And we can always buy another key if we don't get another one, so... A lot of bombs. Which basically means I get more bombs. Just double check. Okay, nothing in this room. I guess I'll buy the key from the shop just to guarantee myself the shop for the next one. Oh, another key. I'm still buying the key. I'm still buying the key. But yeah, I've been just keeping busy more or less, you know? I think that's like the main thing, isn't it? It's just like, you do a lot of stuff to try and keep yourself as busy as possible. Like, it's one of those things, like, my life is pretty much wake up, go to work, come home, do some chores, things like that, maybe do a recording, and then upload that, and then go back to sleep, and then do the whole thing all over again the next day. You know? I wouldn't say it's an exciting life, except the outside of that, when I've got to, like, do more than just go through the motions. Man, I make it sound terrible, don't I? But no, I tend to, like, you know... Really? Oh, it's the spider poison that's poisoning those things. Interesting. I was wondering where the poison was coming from. Let's see what we got here. Well, that gives... Is it bounce and ricochet? Pierce and ricochet. We don't need that. Can I be greedy here, or should we go for the armor? Let's be greedy. Oh, pierce and caliber is kind of interesting, but I want to be greedy. Ooh, strength. I am gonna wait, because healing could be interesting because I got the minions, but I'm also kind of like... I'm also like, I swear I can get something better than that, but then it's like, I just changed my entire build if I do not get anything other than those, and then we just go back to strength and do it that way, right? And then the bounce is just kind of passable as such. Ooh, good damage there, didn't you see? So we shall see, we shall see. Although I do like the fact that I've got a good amount of resources. I will admit that, it's kind of nice. There we go. Strength. There we go, that's that thing done. Ooh, a bomb. But yeah, other than that, been messing around with all sorts of different things at the moment as well. You know, not being too serious. And just trying to have a bit of fun. Like, I've got some other D&D stuff that I'm kind of, like, planning in the back of my mind and whether what to do. I'm trying to set up, like, a new mini campaign alongside everything else that I've done. So that's, like, the first thing. Extra strength. Actually, having some charisma would be technically nice. Especially seeing as apparently, like, the whole thing I've got runs off this. So we'll give you, like, a strong, charismatic miner. I guess that is the build we'll go for. I would like to pick this up, but I will have to wait. So let's go and get my armor reduction thing. There we go. Pick you up. And we'll just, there you go, spider. So how does the charisma affect these? Does it just make the things do more damage, or what? That's sort of my question, right? You know what would be a good idea? A good idea would be to look at the stats themselves. So charisma modifies follower stats, morale damage, and pilfer shop costs. Huh. So what you are telling me is it basically just makes all my minions better. can I go all in on this? Is the question. Or is this going to be like a side thing where it's just like every so often I like the Pied Piper and just blow my whistle and summon a bunch of rats? Color me intrigued, I would say. I mean, I could just get, like... Well, we'll pick this up first, because this is a good idea. And then put that in there, because the Pocket Grub is kind of useful in the sense of, like, being able to do stuff. And then I... There we go. It's kind of nice to know only the shadows need to overlap for that to actually function, right? And the fact that the AI doesn't make the rats go over the spikes is kind of cool as well. You know, don't waste them as such. Waste not, want not. There we go, my army of minions. Let's go, 6 of them. And it's this silt. Oh, look at that, the poison effect. That looks cool, man. Oop. That poison effect on Silk there looked awesome. Never seen that like that before. Yeah, probably new stuff. I'm kind of still waiting on like an update for this game. On like probably like the full release that comes on. Thank you very much. Now, I guess we'll keep the ingenuity. I want to keep the bounce and the dex though. I guess the ingenuity can go. And get more strength. Just because that's going to, like, help scale by, all my stuff. You know? I shall be strong and charismatic. Don't know why I went, like, Russian. Actually, that's something I can talk about, because I'm losing my train of thought a little bit here. I can focus on something. I've always been, really kind of, like, fascinated by impressionisms, right? Whether it's people putting accents on, or actual voice mimicry, or stuff like that. Absolutely fine, it's absolutely amazing. Like, it's just, like, so cool. And I like doing super voices anyway, because, you know... Inside, I'm still like a 3-year-old child, and funny voices sound funny. Just summon a bunch of flies. Ooh, golden axe. Yes, please. Guess we're going pure strength build now. Guess we're going pure strength build. With a side as charisma. Yeah, let's go in the shop, see what's in here first. I need 500 for that. Magnetized bombs is irrelevant. Okay. Let's wander around the rest of the map and hopefully get the gold to have that so we can kind of... I should leave any food around then because of that. Really, bomb? Really? What else do we have here, then? Great shockwaves. I don't really care about those. And the visage. I guess I'm just spending gold here. Oh, no. Well, it adds an armor point. I have my shield, my golden axe, and now the golden breastplate. It's gold! Sorry. Smoking a pancake? If you get that reference, well done. Thing is, though, I'm like the battle standard would actually be pretty good with this, right? If I can get that. I'll take the ricochet. Like, it's just gonna be something else I can use for other stuff later anyway. I want to go... Can't do anything here. Oh, I can use 2 bombs. I got plenty of bombs. Let's do that. Now, I want to see. Can I do this? You know what? Out of all the videos I put up on this game... Of all the videos I put up on this game, I did not know they went that far. Learning new stuff already. But yeah, we're going to be a massive strength build. All of my flies have done their due diligence. Anything else in here I want? Got plenty of bombs, so... If it's a bomb room they want to give me, it's a bomb room I will take. Thank you very much. Yeah, I have a good amount of keys as well, actually. It's kind of nice. Just need more gold and ways to get gold, so... I guess we're focusing on that stuff when we can. I do love the sound of the flute, though. It's great. And the whistle. Is it a whistle? Yeah, whistle. Whistle, 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 whistle. I don't want anything from there. And now we gotta go get the cooked thingy bob from the shop. And I also gotta go through the, other thing. I was kind of hoping I would, like, get, some more health from the floor because of food. And it would be nice. Now, there's only one other food thingy that would give me more strength. Reduce options in the pilfer shop. That would be kind of bad. Don't want to get around remove random curse. I could just transmute that. Stasis it. Unstasis, sorry. Increase full damage is fine. If I stasis the strength, right? Do I get more strength? And that means that I could have been doing the stasis thing this whole... Oh my god. This is a run of discovery. I am learning stuff about a game that I've been playing for like months, and I still have not internalized the mechanics. And how do any of you put up with me watching this? I'm sorry, I need to do better. Mind you, you probably don't watch me for my skill in the game, you watch me for the random BS that I end up coming up with, which is probably slightly better, right? Slightly better. It's either that or my soothing voice helps you all go to sleep at night. Actually, that's a one thing. I mentioned like in like older videos and stuff like that. So... Like as a kid, I suffered from stutter, and sometimes you'll probably see it in my recordings and stuff, where it just kind of pops up every now and again, right? Whether I try and say something, or I kind of lose my train of thought, or... Whatever the case is, it kind of happens, right? And I spent a lot of time watching a lot of American kind of sitcom shows in the early hours of the morning before school, and kind of practicing... Plus mana when you defeat enemies. Ooh, that's kind of good. That is kind of good. Look at that. Recovering mana, though. Recovering mana. Let's get some bonies. There we go. Okay, so they're not that smart. Oh yeah, I'm just immune to fire damage, aren't I? Except for, like, the big hit that hits first. Did that turn into my minion? Interesting. Is it because I still got the potion effect on? Like, what? I am confused. I am so confused. You know what? We'll just ignore that. We'll ignore that and then come back for it later. I am gonna go to the shop. If I can't get that now, then it's fine. But I am going to spend that to get that. No point getting that armor point because like I could get a golden one, which would give me money when it gets hit. But I do want my item ring. Well, I got a free armor point there. That's kind of nice. Man, my luck on those is actually quite high. I'm surprised. Very surprised. More strength. Adds chill to enemy attack. I think we should go for some luck. I'm going to transmute that. Well, we don't need the alacrity. That's fine. We just want one big swing. Yeah, I was talking about, like, earlier that, like, I used to do funny voice and stuff, and I used to spend a lot of my time kind of, like, trying to practice how to speak in a mirror and all that stuff, just to try and, like, get, you know, my pronunciation of words correct and stuff, which still isn't amazing, and also to kind of help alleviate any of the stutter issues I was always having with things. And not like in a bad way, like, you know, me saying like, oh, I had a massive stutter. No, just like, it was more the fact that I try and, let's say, my brain would be too fast for my mouth to keep up with, which also caused problems in itself, but that's a different thing entirely. Ooh, there we go. I mean, I would like the cheese, but battle axe in my build is always really good. The reach is delightful. Let's go down. Ooh, some health. Thank you. Up we go. So I spent a lot of time doing that, and then also like I lived in like different places across the UK for like, you know, a few years at each time, you know, more in most cases. So I do have many different things that are kind of a... let's lock that in, because I do want that. And yeah. Guess we're going to fight this boss with what we've got. Increase my dex, and let's go. So I did that. I did do that quite a lot, right? Basically, the main thing was just like I wanted to kind of like not have to worry about it, as you know, I wasn't exactly what you say a popular person in school. But then I guess everyone really says that. So like, what does that actually even mean? You know? Let's just say I was probably more practical than most when I made my decisions, and that was probably not in many people's best interests. Ooh. That was not great. Took some damage, but we're okay. We come out the other end. And that's not like kind of like, oh, you know, oh, you were bullied and stuff like that. Nah, like, get over yourself. Like, it builds character, man. It really does. And at the end of the day, like, I have the confidence to be happy in myself and what I am, regardless of what anything else says in there. I mean, there is the other side of it, where it's like, do you sometimes, like, wish for companionship and things? So I got my mates and stuff, and my friends. Like, we all have good laughs. There's no issue there. Okay, so I guess I'm going to probably keep the bounce. Get rid of the Dax. More strength. Attune. Get rid of the Ricochet. More strength. I will one-shot everything. That's the plan. Attune again. Get rid of the bounce. And do we go luck here? Luck would be slightly better, and also charisma would help a little bit as well. But I think some max HP just to help myself out a little bit. Waste all my gold in doing that, and then we get to go and carry on. So yeah. It's one of the things I probably would say, which I probably a lot of you may or may not agree with, which is fine. Like, the one thing I've always agreed on, I've always said, is the difference in opinion between, like, what one person likes and one person dislikes is kind of what opens the debate for people to have a discussion on all sorts of different topics, right? But it also allows us as individuals to develop as people. So, like, I've had my own traumas and stuff and gone through many particular different scenarios of things other people will never go through. But the same goes for them as well. Like, they've gone through stuff that I will never go through or experience either. Thing is that we can both pull from essentially the collective knowledge of each of us to kind of understand each other, and this is why things like human empathy is so important as a species, is the fact that although I may not be able to experience what someone else has gone through empathy I can kind of get some variable understanding of thing bad, you know? Yeah, I'm not happy with that curse. Randomize the range of projectiles. I don't have projectiles. Do we want to go health though? I think we'll go health. Just trying to upshore the defenses a little bit. Shore up. Behold some of the brain stuff that I have that likes to cause issues. Don't worry, I'm normal, I swear. I get reach though, that'd be kind of nice on there. But yeah, it's always like one of those things, and I think sometimes like we tend to kind of like, I wouldn't say baby people, but I think we kind of placate some stuff too much because it's easy. Like, so this is something that you'll probably see that happens a lot with normally it's parents and children, right? Normally it's parents and children. I'm not saying that's what I'm using here as the example. What I am saying here is the fact that I will relate it to someone who has theoretically more wisdom than the other person, right? It's this idea of the fact that someone who's confident in themselves, which we can all safely say at one point a generation was more confident in themselves and kind of knew what they were doing, hence why they got more advantages than the rest of us currently do now. But because they didn't need to really kind of like placate, like they didn't really need to kind of like, you know, deal with any sort of, I wouldn't say struggles, but I think like I probably would go more lines of like logistical difficulties would probably be maybe a better phrase of saying it. You know, like there were problems, yeah, but there wasn't problems they couldn't solve, I guess would be a more apt way of putting it. Like there's always ways around things. It's almost like, as probably my dad would say, the bodge job generation, right? Like no matter what anyone did or anything else as well, they could always solve a problem. Right? Just with a hammer and some duct tape and you'd be like well on your way. Oh yeah, I should probably duplicate something there. I got a skull that just won't go away. Will that respawn if I go into a room with enemies? Interesting to find out that will be. Let's go back to the shop. Did I get enough gold? I did not get enough gold, so this isn't coming back with me, which is a bit disappointing. But I do think I probably should buy this, just so I can keep my strength up. Do I need more keys? I do not need more keys. We are good on keys. And bombs, so getting that little bit of luck has actually helped out a lot. Not bad, not bad. But yeah, like... So because of, like, that, we've kind of allowed just... I wouldn't really call them, like, dumb ideas or anything else or incorrect or things like that. But we allowed things to kind of, like, probably stray too far from rational thought and more into emotional thought, right? It's not about, you know, thinking about something, it's how something makes you feel, right? And I think a good example of it is one of the Simpsons episodes when I forget what the episode's name is, but they kind of separate the classroom out into the boys and girls schools, and the girls just don't learn math. You know, sexist joke and remark, but kind of on gender roles and stuff, like men are logical thinkers, women are emotional thinkers. It's just a well-known fact that that's how we kind of think about stuff independently of each other. Right? That is worth it, actually. 2 bombs. Well, at least they're not in the pool anymore. Not saying that, like, the other side can't think like that. It's saying more in general, right? It's sort of like how a man's brain function is just a random bunch of boxes, and the only time you ever go in the box is when you need knowledge from that box, and you don't think about anything else outside of that box until you've closed the box, put it away neat and tidily, and then gone, okay, what's the next thing? Which also kind of makes us kind of very one-dimensional thinkers in most cases. I think Comedian mentioned that once before, and like how women will tend to kind of interlink everything with everything else, meaning that everything is connected in a way that kind of means that they can't really forget about anything. Like, at all. Even if they wanted to, they wouldn't be able to. Not saying they can't forget stuff, just more in sort of a generalization of it. And this is the thing that I think comes up, is like, stereotypes are normally stereotypes for a reason, right? They either have some sort of mammal bomb stuff. Actually, that Dark Orbit's actually pretty good. Let's pick it up again. We got good strength, so we actually are going to deal some good damage to that when it goes off, and it can also charm enemies, I believe. So, nice. You know, if behavior wasn't repeatable, the things that are classed as stereotypes wouldn't be stereotypes. Is probably what we should say, right? I should not wait to pick that up. And it's just simple as that, right? Because it's part of, like, our own scientific investigation, right? If I can get repeatable results, it becomes essentially the pattern for recognizing something. Now, are those stereotypes and generalizations maybe slightly hurtful in some ways? No denying that, they can be. But at the same time, it's what allows us as human beings to put stuff into boxes, and we like putting stuff into boxes. We like it quite a lot. Regardless of whatever anyone says from either side of political spectrums and stuff like that, as human beings, we like putting stuff in boxes. And we have to put stuff in boxes. It's what we've always done. If we can't put stuff in a box, it doesn't work with our minds very well. Like, we're not able to understand it and create a connection with it because we haven't been able to put it in a box. Which is hilarious, because I mentioned earlier that it's absolutely fine, we can reduce the dexterity. I mentioned earlier that us men are logical thinkers and we like to put stuff into boxes. Completely innocent. Completely innocent connection I made there. A happy accident, if you will. But yeah, it's what we're always like, and I always find it kind of funny when people start arguing over stuff, and literally like the next phrase out of someone's mouth is the fact that, well, you're an ist, and I'm like, oh, okay, or an ism, or a so both do trigger. Interesting. Did not know that. Right? Yeah, they are. They're doing the shrapnel stuff as well. Interesting. I did not realize it also did the shrapnel stuff, although it's making this take a little bit longer than I want it to, but hey ho. Extra keys. So yeah, I do tend to find it kind of funny that that we tend to focus on stuff like that in that particular way, right? And even when we try and get away from the idea of it, we will still focus back to that idea of trying to put stuff in a box and giving it a name and then going, ah, you're not in the box, you're excluded outside the box, right? It's like playing like Duck Duck Goose or you know, playing It or stuff like that. You're always trying to... Did I actually just generally just hit those out in the cuts? Like, I am confused. I don't know what's going on anymore. But yeah, so it is kind of it's kind of like how we just work overall, right? And like it's never meant to be like in a bad way. It's just like it's how we try and program everything ourselves to kind of make an understanding of it, and then stuff we can't make an understanding of, we tend to basically ostracize it from our minds, as well as socially and everything else as well, which is kind of like what people end up doing when they can't quite grasp the thought of what someone else is thinking. Oh, if I double these, do they double? No, they do not. Okay. It was worth a try. I wanted to see if it would. You know? That's not to say like anything is like right or wrong inherently about the idea of us putting some boxes. It's just the cause of it, and then our irrational fear of the fact that we don't know something means that we tend to try and avoid it completely. Right? Or something we don't understand, or something we can't process. This is why some of the trauma responses in some cases for people is to just ignore the problem. Right? It literally stems from the same place of just like, if I can't deal with a problem, I'll avoid it. And then, like, it's an instinctive thing, right? There we go. I'm gonna pick that up. It's not a perfect solution either. It's just, it's kind of like how we're all programmed with it, and all the discussions that we come around and have, like, ideas on, like, you know, kids will be kids, but as adults you tend to grow out of it a little bit. But no. Okay, we're just gonna get rid of the thing. So yeah, it is kind of hilarious when it's just like, doesn't matter what you do, any sort of like discussion or anything else, well, basically comes down to the fact that it's a schoolyard debate, and we haven't quite decided on which side to pick for dodgeball yet. You know? Let's go down. So what's in here if the Necronomicon isn't? Oh, just some chests. And that's all it is. And I always find it hilarious, like, the cause of someone's popularity is always really weird, and I tried to put this down as a science, and like, that's probably one of the reasons why I wasn't popular, as I was trying to analyze the idea of why someone was popular. You know, put analyzing popularity in the does not make you popular column. Learn that one pretty quick. But yeah, so like, you think like, oh, is it because someone's good at sports? Is it because, you know, they're good looking in the sense of that they're good looking? Well, that's actually one thing I always find hilarious, right? So it's this idea of the fact that in the modern day, as we are now, apparently you can't just know someone is good looking without it having to mean more than just that they're like physically attractive, like that their physical proportions are of desirable traits, right? Or show desirable traits. Whether that be on an instinctive level or personal preference level, right? And there's also some weird Freudian stuff behind that as well, which causes all those sort of like different, yeah, additional alter room seems great, actually. I would like to be able to remove some extra curses if I can. So we'll take it and leave. I could have got the bomb suit, actually, because that would have stopped me from hurting myself with my own bombs, which I probably will do at some point, so don't worry about it. Ooh, more secret rooms. But yeah, it's kind of, it's always kind of interesting on that sort of stuff, right? That, like, you can't now just, like, everyone always says, like, there's difference in beauty standards and stuff like that, but there isn't, and there isn't for, like, both sides across the board, regardless of what it is. There is a typical set pattern for what women seem desirable in a man, and what men seem desirable in women, and all other ways around as well. I am not using my minions, am I? There we go. Battle standard. This will not give me charisma. Which means that, because I get charisma, these guys will get stronger. Let's go to the next floor then, where I think we're done here. So yeah, it is kind of on the, like a bit on the nose when it's one of the things. I think like there are so many memes and everything else of like all the stuff where it's just like one person says one thing, and then 2 seconds later they say another thing that completely contradicts the thing they just said before. And like I see that quite a lot, and like this might be me talking as a person, but I am kind of big on the idea of like, if you say something, either you stick to it or you're kind of like, oh no, sorry, I'm wrong. Like, I can be wrong. I've got no issue with being wrong. You know, I'm just a guy on the internet. Also, I'm just a normal dude. Well, I like to pretend I'm a normal dude, but, you know, I'm probably not the normal average, shall we say. Ooh, that's some good healing. Ooh. Yeah, so, you know, I accept it. I'm on the fringe case. I'm probably like slightly above average, maybe slightly below. Probably not on average, because being on average just doesn't seem something like I would do, you know. You reduce strength, increase dexterity. No, we don't really care about that. You also have that as well, which creates skeleton skulls. Skeleton Skull Shield. I could take that, actually. That could be good for projectile stuff, you know? Let's go in here, see what we can get. And maybe use the Golden Pilfer. Penance. Remove something else. I would like to get rid of the smidgens, to be honest, but it's not really happening. And it's one of those things where it's like I always kind of get frustrated with people that will tend to basically cause a contradiction in their argument. Now, I'm not saying that they're causing it on purpose or anything else, well, or they're doing it because they don't understand the argument they're saying. I'm just saying, like, a contradiction occurs, and then either they'll notice the contradiction, at which point what that person then will do is double down, or some people will notice the contradiction and go, oh yeah, right, And then there'll be a general discussion. And you can normally tell the type of person based upon the reaction to when they make like an error, essentially. They'll either admit they made the error, or they won't admit they made the error, and then you're gonna have fun then. You saying I'm wrong? Now, where have we heard that tone before? But it is just, to me, it's always one of those hilarious things. I noticed a bunch of friends and stuff, and after advising them through their own stuff and kind of like talking to them in most cases, I will say it now, sometimes us men, really? Like, what's with the smudging stuff? Like, come on. Don't care about the cost. Really? Fine, we'll increase the cost for unlocking the pill for a shop. Like, man, that came up too many times. So us men, in most cases, mainly probably due to our upbringing as such, are what I would probably class as slightly emotionally stunted, right? So it's not the fact that we don't feel emotions, it's more the fact that we don't learn to express them or deal with them in a very healthy manner. Right? Because we're mainly told to just kind of just like suck it up, deal with it, usual stuff, things like that as well, right? It's the sort of classic phrases thrown our way all the time. Which is wrong, but, you know, society probably won't change about that anytime soon. Cool. That's a good pilfer. With that, normally comes errors in sort of like how we express ourselves or how we show support emotionally to other people, right? My charisma must be going up quite well, actually. What's the charisma at now? 20... 28, cool. Nice. And for like other people, this tends to be like a real big problem because they will, especially like our significant partners and stuff, will tend to want emotional responses to a lot of things, at which point, in most cases, if us men have been brought up in that specific way, we just kind of don't. Which is not great. Let's just say that much. It's not great overall. But it's just the way we're built, right? And trained as well. You know, the phrase man up is a phrase for a reason, right? I can't tell which is my hand and which is theirs. Which doesn't help my situation there. Okay, I can't light those, right? Okay. But yeah, so you kind of tend to think about it in like specific ways or stuff like that, right? And you try and like, we try and process it in one way or the other, although it doesn't really go well for partners and such, right? And then like once we do tend to kind of get a grasp of stuff, it might be a little bit too late because we take a long time to process it, for instance. Or other reasons, stuff like that. Now, this is not an excuse for us for, like, being like that. We need to be better at it anyway. Like, it's just, you know, just because it is the way we are doesn't necessarily mean it's the way we should be, right? The issue is like, most of the time you'll tend to find that nothing becomes quite accepting in that point, and then there's always that sort of sense of double standard, the fact that one person can be angry but another one can't be, or another one can be upset but the other one can't be. And the thing is we're both both people are independent people, meaning that you can both feel different things or the same thing at the same time, and multiple different things simultaneously. There is no one that is exclusive to the other as such. But try explaining that one. Get some more luck. Nice. And that's kind of what it is, because I think there was always there was a theory put forward. I don't know if it's an actual theory. I forget like some of the scientific publication, the idea of it, but essentially it's kind of like a thesis of kind of like, are you the only person in your own universe, right? Now, this is kind of like the idea of the fact that the only thing you can really count on for when you know stuff or things like that as well, or when you think about stuff, the way you feel things and stuff like that, is your own experience, right? So your own perception of reality is the only thing you can truly count on. Now, whether that perception of reality is warped because of other reasons, who knows, but that's the only thing you can truly say you know and can say I experience on a day-to-day basis, right? Like right now, I know for a fact I'm recording this particular video for you guys and talking gibberish on the internet. But at the same time, while you guys are out there, say, watching this video, I, one, don't know what you're doing while watching the video, but at the same time, I don't know what you were doing when I was creating the video. So all I know is just, at some point, you viewers here will have watched this video. That's all I will end up knowing. And basically, life is kind of like a reflection of that, right? I know what I'm doing and what's going on, but I don't know who else is around me and what they're thinking and feeling, right? I just know they are essentially viewers to my life as such, right? And I hate those things when I'm melee. That's a really awkward thing. Needs more meat. So like the debate that comes up when it comes down to I'll just use this straight away. This idea of oh, I can damage my own things. Cool. Now I know. And the troll sweat. Let's use it. Everyone got the buff. Cool. Let's go, my minions. Now with that, there are other things that you think of, like if your perception of reality is something that basically holds your universe together as such, right? So, like, as a person, the only thing you can be sure on is your own perception, meaning that you can't really trust anything else other than that. But your only perception really exists. Yes. While you're able to perceive it, right? If you had something that basically could cause essentially like a universal splitting, like one particular atom going through a state of negative decay, of going through radioactive decay, and it had a half-life, say, of like, you know, 10 years, and you had a gun that was tied to, like, basically your death would be triggered to the decay of that particular atom. And it's instant, like, there's no sort of, like, redo as such. Man, we're really going through them all, aren't we? You know what? I'm just arguing with myself and I've been like, I want something good that isn't a really bad thing, but you know what? I could just try and get rid of other ones. But yeah, like, you probably would never experience the decay of that atom because it's linked to an outcome you can never foresee, right? But if... And this is kind of like the idea of, like, a theory of, like, you know, multiple branches of a universe and all that jazz that comes along with it. But my thing is, like, it's all kind of like a shared universe, right? Let's pick that up. And then pick my whistle back up. The tin whistle. Carry on, bugs, let's go. So because everything's always tied to, like, you as a person and your experience and stuff like that, it's one of those things where you can't kind of, like... Essentially, it's basically your brain or your mind or your perceptions put inside a box. It can't experience anything outside of the fact of that box. But other people can experience stuff outside that box, but you can't. And whether that knowledge transfers between boxes is a question that us human beings aren't able to solve. Right? So this is like a very similar one to, like, the differences between what someone sees as one particular color versus what someone else sees as a particular color. You know, like, what I call red might look differently to you than what it does to me, even though we both call it red. Which is kind of a weird thing to think about as well. But this is what I mean when it comes down to, like, the fact that we like to put things into boxes, and the second thing is just like we don't like stuff that is different from the norm, right? We're not able to handle or process it, right? Nice. It's just because we can't, like, transfer our thoughts and feelings across from one person to the next. Would that make us any better if we could? I probably wouldn't think so. Right? Like, if you could know exactly how something else affects someone else, I don't think it would change most people's decisions into doing the thing, right? Because feelings are an afterthought to something. They're not a sort of like prevention for doing something, right? It's like pain. Pain is a physical response to a stimuli that causes injury, or is supposed to cause injury. I know some of you guys out there. I'm not going to kink shame, don't worry. But it is one of those things where, to be honest, it is actually kind of like a big deal, and I think it comes down as part of what it is for us as human nature, that we tend to be very narrow-minded on those particular things because of the fact that essentially one, empathy and everything else that we end up feeling is all secondary, right? Essentially, we tend to normally act and then kind of come up with a response to why we acted that way, and that's normally what ends up happening. We always are responding to our surroundings and everything else around us constantly. There's no sort of upfrontness to our decision-making processes. Like, we can think about things and do things and everything else well, but when it comes to instinct, we just act and suffer the consequences later, whatever they may be. Which does tend to put us in problems, you know. It's an interesting debate. I always tend to like to think about it like that way, right? I guess I'll take the ring. Extra strength here is actually pretty good. Let's go explore the floor before going to here, but still go into it, see if there's anything useful. Not really. We'll just use them. Use the food, get them now. Max damage. Damage, just basic items. Ooh. Another one. Do it again. No. I think we just roll here. Just, those things would have been good. Yeah, that would have been nice as well, the ring. Okay, guess can't do anything else. Buy that, buy that. I can't buy that. Okay, cool. We're done here then. But yeah, it's a weird thing to think about in the sense of like when you feel stuff, you don't really feel it beforehand, you always feel it afterwards, right? That's the same for everything, like... And this is also tends to be like... why people act in particular ways about stuff, right? Like, if you tend to be some that is probably someone who's like an emotional thinker and tends to think about things in an emotional way, when you do get emotional, it's the only thing you can think about. It won't go away until you solve basically that particular emotion or you find closure in it. It's something doesn't happen. If you're a logical thinker, the emotion doesn't matter to you, but then the issue you find is like you can't really like process that in the particular same way, and you end up really not dealing with it, which is not really healthy either. But you can still function around everything else, and you can normally then just like wait for the moment of which you can then feel that thing. So you tend to normally fall apart the moment that you will relax, essentially, right? This goes to the same for your general health and stuff like that as well. Like, I find that your health is also linked to your mood in most cases, where if you are feeling under the weather and you're not in a good state of mind, you'll tend to normally just be ill because your body will like, okay, you know what, we need to stop here, we're reaching our point. It's like when fatigue sets in, essentially. But if you're in a good mood, you'll tend to fight it off and just get on with stuff a little better. Does it make you feel better in the moment? Yes. Will it make you better overall? That's debatable. Depends how severe, you know, how ill you actually are, but it's one of those things where the placebo effect and all those sort of things are really kind of cool, and it's all like tricks the mind and stuff anyway. But still, I find it interesting. And I find like I'll need to like box stuff and make you know, decisions on things in those boxes is also kind of interesting as well, right? Whether it is right or wrong for us to do it, we still do it. Yeah. Man, I'm taking lots of hits here. Nice, got lucky. The big flick. Again, why give gold here? But yeah, it is really interesting. Like, we as human beings are kind of like really simple creatures, and even at a basic level, we will still make dumb mistakes, and our behavior can be really obvious and repeatable, right? Sometimes it's the thing of recognizing the patterns and then preventing them from happening. That was a good run, though. I enjoyed that. Didn't play with the flute at the end, though. I'm very disappointed in myself. That would have been hilarious to do that. Yeah, pretty good strength run in the end as well. We got all the golders, all the golden axe and the golden chest plate. But again, anyway, thanks for listening to all my randoms. Do appreciate you all. Again, if you do enjoy these videos, do leave a like, subscribe to see more, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.